Hello, everyone, and a happy Sunday. Thank you very much for joining today's stream. A news summary from Moscow program, and after the program itself, I will join community chat if there will be interest from you. And in case you want to discuss any topic or the question is, this is always the case, you friends. Please use capital Q or capital letters, or of course, you can always use super chat feature on Rumble. Unfortunately, I don't. My channel on YouTube is not monetized, so there are gonna be no super chats here. But it is on Rumble. You can use that, and you can send any question or the topic that you want to discuss through PayPal or Boosty platforms, and I will react on it, of course, also. And well, be prepared, dear friends. There is a lot of news, and so live stream might be a bit longer. But anyways, I'll try my best to make sure that live stream is interesting. And well, without further delay, let's go through some news. Just remind you, dear friends, that if you appreciate my work, you can support her through several means. Links are under this video in the description box. That's being said, let's make it like that on a bigger screen, and let's go through some news, by the way. And I'm going to start with a latest report of Russian Defense Ministry on work of air defense systems, and RIA Novosti and many other media outlets here in Russia are sharing this information that air defenses at night intercepted 21 drones that was launched by Kyiv regime with assistance of NATO to strike deep into Russian territory. I can give you some specifics on that. Over the course of a past night, air defense systems intercepted and destroyed 21 Ukrainian fixed-wing unmanned aerial vehicles, 14 over the territory of Belgorod region, 5 drones over the territory of Voronezh region, and one each over the territories of Astrakhan and Kaluga regions. And drone attacks continue this morning also, and unfortunately there was a casualties as a result. Woman and a child were killed in a Ukrainian NATO drone attack in Donetsk People's Republic, and RIA Novosti is reporting about it. So according to head of DPR Denis Pushilin, in the urban type settlement of Sartana in Mariupol region, Mariupol area, woman born in 1991 and a child born in 2020 were killed as a result of an attack by Kyiv regime's armed forces with a drone. So more casualties among civilians, as you can see, as a result of this proxy war that West is waging against Russia. Yet another tragedy that's not going to be reported in Western media, of course, because they never do. They never acknowledge all the crimes that NATO and their proxy regime is committing. Russian militaries are retaliating, obviously, for all these attacks, and even though there is energy truce in force still, and there will be at least until tomorrow, military and logistical infrastructure of the Kyiv regime was targeted, and we have this report based on Russian Defense Ministry exactly about that. So operational tactical aviation, attack drones, missile forces, and artillery of the Russian armed forces have damaged transport infrastructure facilities used by Kyiv regime's forces, as well as temporary deployment points of Kyiv regime's troops and foreign mercenaries in 158 directions in past 24 hours alone. Although energy infrastructure was not targeted, despite their full understanding that obviously energy infrastructure plays key role in military-industrial complex of the Kyiv regime in terms of producing weapons, munition, in terms of maintenance of weapons and munition, and of course, including drones, by the way. And also in terms of transportation of the Kyiv regime's forces, in terms of their military logistics. So there was a relatively large scale Russian retaliatory attack, but not on energy infrastructure, because as you know, Recently, agreement was reached between the sides on energy truce until or included 1st of February, and it is 1st of February today, isn't it? So from tomorrow we might see Russian retaliatory strikes on energy infrastructure of the hostile side, or who knows, maybe this energy truce will continue. But nevertheless, due to previous Russian strikes on energy infrastructure of the hostile side, of course, serious damage was done. And yesterday there was a massive blackout all over their Kiev-controlled territory. I reported about it yesterday during the live stream, and on this matter, later on yesterday, towards the evening, Energy Minister of Kyiv regime, Denis Shmigal, made statement that power supply has been restored in all regions of the Kyiv-controlled territory, following their earlier accidents, and it was accidents, by the way. Some Western propaganda outlets and pro-Ukrainian propaganda outlets did try to blame Russia for this and made some claims that Russia conducted, despite their energy truth, Russia conducted strikes on energy infrastructure. But these reports were debunked by Kyiv regime itself, because there were no actual strike since their disagreement was reached about energy truth on energy infrastructure. But tomorrow everything might change, because yet again this energy truce stands until 1st of February, possibly including 1st of February itself, because today we did not receive any reports about Russian strikes on energy sites in Kyiv-controlled areas. Nevertheless, Mayor of Kyiv, Klitschko, addressed their residents of the capital of Ukraine with an alarming statement. Let me give you some quote here. Situation that has occurred is very complex and alarming. We cannot rule out possibility that it could happen again. We are trying to do everything in our power, but we need your help. Please bring warm clothing. Please stock up on drinking water, industrial water, food, and medicine, he said on Q24 TV channel during their interview. And this time around, he did not call residents of Kiev to evacuate, but he already made such a calls a couple of times earlier. And many, according to some reports, about 600,000 people actually did flee Kiev for winter time. Could be true, could be not. Obviously, it is difficult to check this information. Not even possible. And as a reminder, dear friends, after Trump asked Russian side for weekly energy truce until February 1st, Moscow agreed on that. And this energy ceasefire is expiring today. And if there is no additional agreement in place, it well might be that from tomorrow, strikes will resume. Strikes will resume. Meanwhile, well, 1st of February, by the way, of course, also the date when new round of trilateral talks are supposed to take place in Abu Dhabi. Neither yesterday, neither today, there was no reports about any talks there between US, Kyiv regime, and the Russian delegations. But what happened actually is that there was a meeting in Miami between special envoy of Russian President Kirill Dmitriev and Steve Witkoff. Reports are that some other officials from U.S. administration were also met by Dmitriev. Let me give you some details on that. So Steve Witkoff stated that our meeting was productive, or these talks were productive. U.S. presidential envoy Steve Witkoff praised his talks with aide of Russian president, special envoy of Russian president, Kirill Dmitriev in Miami. I can give you some quotes on that. Today in Florida, and this is yesterday's report, by the way, from 31st of January. So in Florida, Russian Special Representative Kirill Dmitriev held productive and constructive meetings as a part of Washington's mediation efforts aimed at the peaceful resolution of the Ukrainian conflict. He wrote on his True Social page, and Kirill Dmitriev reacted on that constructive, as you can see on your screen, by the way, constructive meeting with the U.S. Peacemaking delegation, productive discussion also on the U.S.-Russia economic war group. And what is interesting, by the way, this time around, Dmitriev had a meeting allegedly with Scott Bessent, also Treasury Secretary of the U.S. administration. Let me give you details on that too. So, American delegation also included Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, the American leader's son-in-law Jared Kushner, and White House senior advisor and the commissioner of the Federal Acquisition Service of the General Services Administration, John Groundbaum. This personality, John Groundbaum, was together with Kushner and Steve Witkoff when they had a meeting recently, just about a week ago, here in Moscow with the Russian president. He was a part of this American delegation team or negotiating team first time, and well, seems like sides are working on some topics, and presence of not just Groundbaum but also U.S. Treasury Secretary was necessary. And as Witkoff and Dmitriev stated, talks were useful, productive, right? And Kirill Dmitriev also went to say that they spoke not just about Ukrainian crisis, but also about Russia-U.S. economic relationships, right? And who knows, maybe they will actually manage to build some bridges, by the way. I mean, I'm skeptical of that. I don't think there is much reasons to be optimistic in regards to negotiations with the U.S. ruling class, but you never know. Let's continue with some other news. And as I said, dear friends, until a few hours ago, there was not much reports about this planned meeting, trilateral negotiations in Abu Dhabi that was planned for today. There was no clarity on that, but a few hours ago, Zelensky stated that meeting is now scheduled, this trilateral meeting is now scheduled for 4th, 5th February in Abu Dhabi. So seems like meeting was postponed for 3-4 days. I did not see in the media reaction of the Russian side on that. Maybe all sides agree to postpone this meeting or to hold the next round on 4th or 5th of February. Maybe this is just Zelensky's idea that well, let's do this meeting on this date. Anything is possible. Let's see if Moscow will clarify the situation around the next round of trilateral talks in United Arab Emirates. And by the way, when I saw this report, I was thinking maybe Zelensky is kind of trying to somewhat prolong energy truce, energy ceasefire, and maybe that is the reason why he and his inner circle, probably with the participation of globalists and globalist control regimes in Europe, come up with a new date now for this trilateral talk, 4th or 5th February. And well, who knows if American side once again asks Russian side to hold their strikes on energy infrastructure of the hostile side until at least 4th, 5th of February, or for another week. Maybe Moscow will agree again. I mean, I don't know. Maybe Moscow will agree again because, formulation, what was the formulation of the Kremlin when Moscow agreed on Trump's recent initiative about this current energy truce. Moscow said that their decision was made to agree on the ceasefire based on to basically help the negotiating process, right? I'm interpreting now in my way, but that's the explanation, right? That this will help her to push forward negotiating efforts, and there may be similar Similar explanation will be given to public if Washington asks for a prolongation of the ceasefire for another week, and if Moscow will agree. Uh, might happen, by the way, definitely something that we should not be surprised to hear today, later on, or tomorrow. Let's see if this topic will come up in the discussions and on media pages. The Novosti is also reporting that Kiev regime, meanwhile, by the way, is requesting, not happy. Kiev regime is not happy with its allies, and lately Zelensky become quite hostile, quite aggressive towards Western elites. Probably all of you did notice that from the recent World Economic Forum in Davos to past several days. There was several occasions when Zelensky went after Western elites, European elites included, and now you're gonna be maybe shocked to hear this, but now he is demanding $1.5 trillion from the West. He is freaking demanding $1.5 trillion. By the way, this is not a joke. I don't know what the hell is going on in the brains of either Zelensky or whoever is advising him to come up with such demands, such statements. But yeah, 1.5 trillion. And if globalists, by the way, agree, and if idea itself is generated from the globalist side, then European taxpayers should get ready, man, because it's them that gonna allocate additional hundreds of billions of euros, right, for all this scum of humanity that is in charge either in Kiev right now or in European countries or in the countries of the collective West. Let me give you some details. So Ukraine has requested an unprecedented 1.5 trillion in financial aid from the European Union, and an amount 14 times greater than the country's annual spending, according to RIA Novosti. Report says that the Ukrainian Ministry of Finance, according to Ukraine's Ministry of Finance, 2026 budget project expenditure of 4.83 trillion hryvnias. It was prepared using an average annual exchange rate of 44.7 hryvnias. This is Ukrainian currency, by the way, hryvnia, per dollar. Under this scenario, budget expenditure would amount to $108 billion, right? And so the next financial tranche from the Europe would allow Ukraine to finance budget expenditure items for at least 14 years. If globalists actually, force regimes that they control in EU to agree on this demand, well, that means that European taxpayers gonna pay all the expenses, basically almost all the expenses of the Kiev regime for next 14 years. Of course, we understand that Kiev regime not gonna last that longer. I'm not sure Kiev regime will last even until the end of this year, 2026. But if decision is made in Brussels to allocate 1.5 trillion dollars, then we can be sure that until this regime will expire completely, until this regime will be neutralized in Kiev, they will manage to allocate as much funds as they possibly can, because eventually this money gonna end up on bank accounts of their sponsors, right? Special groups of interests in Europe, and in bank accounts and the pockets of these corrupt European so-called politicians, right? And also, obviously, Zelensky and his team of thieves will also get some money out of it, 100%, right? So, yes, I mean, it's insane, but they want 1.5 trillion now. That's quite something to demand. But nevertheless, let's continue with some other news. RIA Novosti is reporting that the Russian high-ranking diplomat once again was asked about Moscow's position on the topic of potential deployment of NATO troops into Q-controlled territory, and answer is as one can expect. Moscow's position have not changed. Russia does not accept the deployment of Western troops in Ukraine. Period. This was stated by Deputy Foreign Minister Alexander Grushko. I can give you a quote. We've stated that this is unacceptable. No NATO membership, no foreign forces. It makes no difference if, say, a French corporal wears a cap with the NATO or EU written on it. That does not change the situation. Therefore, we have not diverted from our position, he said there. And yes, yet again, Russian position is known, very well known for many years, by the way. If anyone wants to know what that is, then I mean, just Google it, right? And it's all there. No changes in position of Moscow, at least officially, right? Let's continue with some other news. And well, when it comes to battlefield, by the way, yesterday I reported about liberation of another three settlements by Russian forces. Let me just remind you what these settlements are. Russian troops have liberated the village of Taretska in the Donetsk People's Republic, a village with important strategic location right now in terms of the special military operation. Also, Petrovka was liberated in Zaporozhye region, right? And we have also this report today that Russian militaries have established control over their two more settlements in past 24 hours. Defense Ministry confirmed this information. As a result of active operations, units of the North Group of Forces liberated the settlement of Zelyona in the Kharkov region. Also, significant development, by the way, I will show you on the map the location of this settlement. And there seems like, even though I'm no military expert, my prediction in terms of this buffer zone was correct. And Russian troops are clearly going to try now to link these two buffer zones that are separated for now with each other, Lipsy direction and Volchansk direction. Also, Center, a group of forces, liberated the settlement of Sukhetska in Donetsk People's Republic. And let's go through map now for a minute. Let's make an update on the map. And am I back, dear friends? I just noticed that I was offline. Well, too bad, man. Okay, let's continue. I'm back. seems like. Okay, by the way, let me show you on the map all the settlements that were liberated in past 24 to 48 hours. And let's start with the Zaporozhye direction. This is a couple of days ago, like 2 days ago, isn't it? I reported that Richnoye settlement was liberated on the western side of western flank of Zaporozhye region, and Russian troops further advancing in this direction. Also, Russian troops established control over their Svitopetrovka settlement, this one here, on the eastern side of Zaporozhye region, and another settlement is Ternavate, that is liberated by Russian forces. This is Zaporozhye region. In the DPR, by the way, Russian troops established control over the Biristok settlement on the southern outskirts of Konstantinovka city. And also Russian troops established control over the Tariatskaya settlement. This is the area, by the way, of Russian breakthrough that happened before even Pokrovsk and Mirnograd was liberated. You know, you're familiar with these developments, obviously. Also, dear friends, on the northern side of the special military operation, Russian troops just a couple of days ago, according to Defense Ministry, liberated Kupiansko-Zlavoye settlement, although there are many sources that are disputing complete control of the Russian troops over the Kupiansk-Zlavoye. I'm not there, I don't know, but you see how many icons are in the area. This is all the movement of the and operations of the Russian militaries in the southern side of Kupiansk, and this is Zelyone, I believe. Yes, this is Zelyone settlement, right on the border with the Russian Federation, and almost in between, by the way, of these two buffer zones that Russia is creating on the northern side of Kharkov region. This is the Lipsy direction on the left side, and the Volchansk direction on the right side. And earlier, if you remember, I said that most likely Russian troops will launch now pincer operation, pincer offensive, from the Lipsy direction towards the east and from the Volchansk direction towards the west, right, to link up these buffer zones. And seems like that's exactly what is going to happen. And the liberation of Zelyone settlement, this area, clearly is indicator of that, in my personal opinion. Let's see how the situation develop. If soon we will learn that Russian troops establish control over the Niskuchная settlement, Tirnova and Izbitskaya settlements, then, well, two buffer zones will link at that point, and obviously my prediction will become objective reality based on developments on the ground. And that's about it for little update, short update on the battle map. And overall, dear friends, Russian militaries liberated 24 settlements in January. Actual number is actually higher than that, but Russian Defense Ministry only confirmed 24 settlements, liberation of the 24 settlements for now. But in reality, this number is higher. At least Russian Defense Ministry did not yet confirm the liberation of at least a couple of settlements. Also, dear friends, interesting report that I see on the geopolitics that in January, in the past month, at least 17 medical flights were carried out from Rzeszów in Poland and Constanța in Romania to transport injured and injured military personnel, basically injured as a result of participation in a war against Russia, right? And even though there are reports, and the geopolitics is writing that these were allegedly troops, injured troops of Kiev regime, I have some doubts about it. This injured personnel was evacuated towards Germany and Norway, by the way, right? Towards Germany and Norway. And I have some doubts that all these 17 flights were only conducted to save the lives of the Kiev regime's troops. Probably there were some Kiev regime troops, but mostly, I'm quite sure about it, citizens of NATO member states were evacuated. Wounded citizens of NATO member states, either members of the special forces of the NATO countries or Western militaries described or designated as mercenaries. So 17 flights. So you can imagine a number of troops that we are talking about, number of wounded personnel that we are talking about, and also bodies of the killed military were also transferred there, according to reports, with these flights. 17 medical flights in January alone. One day, by the way, once this proxy war that West is waging against Russia will end with a total victory of the Russian Federation, obviously, we're going to learn how many troops NATO countries actually lost in this war against Russia. The number going to be in thousands, I think. In thousands. RIA Novosti is also reporting that, Kiev regime and its allies were whining about Starlink for past several days, that Russian engineers started adapting Starlink system to a drones, strike drones, reconnaissance drones, and were using Starlink against Kiev regime and Kiev regime's forces, which is true, by the way. Some Russian engineers actually adopted the Starlink and began using it. And after Kiev regime and its NATO allies start whining about Elon Musk and his company Starlink start working about this matter. And let me give you some update on that. Restrictions on the use of Starlink network have been imposed in Ukraine, according to Sergei Beshketsov, advisor to their country's defense minister. As previously reported, the use of Starlink network has caused serious problems for their Kiev regime's forces, forcing the Ukrainian Ministry of Defense to turn to SpaceX for assistance in resolving them. And this is quote, many users of the Starlink satellite communication system in Ukraine are already seeing the first countermeasures. I want to emphasize that their current decisions are temporary, or to put it another way, emergency. Beskhertsov wrote on his Telegram channel, and also I saw a report, by the way, about the Starlink topic on Война, История оружия, Kirill Fedorov, Война, История оружия Telegram channel, one of the biggest ones on in Russian segment of Telegram. And it says that, according to some works that Starlink or Elon Musk and his team done to cut off these Russian engineers from adapting Starlink on the drones, they come up, one of the solutions that they come up with allegedly is to control speed of movement of the Starlink dish. And if speed of movement is over 90 kilometers an hour, then connection is cut. So it is reported that SpaceX has started taking action against Starlink terminals installed on drones. Now Starlink is disabled at the speeds over 90 kilometers an hour, making its use somewhat impossible without any modifications. So this is potentially one of the solutions that they come up with, although probably there is some other restrictions also in the place that they're not going to disclose. And Elon Musk, this Epstein colleague in crimes, right? This scum of humanity, commented on a post of so-called defense minister of Kiev regime, Mikhail Fedorov, who has thanked basically Elon Musk and the Starlink for assisting. And Elon Musk wrote, looks like the steps we took to stop the unauthorized use of Starlink by Russia has worked. Let us know if more needs to be done. That's this criminal and scum of humanity, Elon Musk, by the way, is saying, and you know what? They're gonna come when this dirty fucking bitch, Elon Musk, this prostitute of Mossad, Zionists and globalists, this pedophile animal, will pay heavy price for everything, for all the crimes that he committed. They're gonna come for that. This dirty fucking scum, man, animal, right? And it is unfortunate that Starlink is still operational. I'm quite sure there is means to disable all those thousands of Starlink satellites that this pedophile Elon Musk is operating with. And yet again, it is unfortunate that Elon Musk is not in a jail for life, and Starlink is still operational. But maybe not for long, man. Maybe not for long. Let's see. Meanwhile, France has released a tanker that they detained about a week ago, and President of France, Macron himself, was bragging about detaining tanker that was linked to Russia. But this tanker was released. This tanker was eventually released, and allegedly Macron told Zelensky that further detention of this tanker would be difficult to justify by legal means. But harassment of the commercial navigation, commercial vessels that are linked to Russia from Western side, from terrorist NATO and terrorist regimes among NATO countries, of course, gonna continue. They're not gonna stop their criminal activity. And on this matter, on topic of Russian energy exports, I can give you also this report that EU is exploring the possibility of scrapping the price cap on Russian oil, changing it on another type of sanction. EU is considering their proposal to replace price caps on Russian oil with a ban on maritime shipping as a part of her latest sanctions package against Moscow, the publication said. So they want to implement complete embargo, basically maritime embargo on Russia. And they will, any vessel that has no approval from the West to enter Russian ports or leave Russian ports, they will consider to be vessel of their shadow fleet, and they will find them, they will justify their actions against these vessels. They will try at least to justify whatever actions they have in plan. And as I said, by the way, until Russia retaliates hard on these NATO member states that are basically engaged in a war with Russia, of course, Western ruling class not going to stop committing crimes against Russia day in, day out. I mean, it's just, it's simple, right? We all understand this. Only question is when, if, of course, when Russia will actually retaliate. When Moscow or Kremlin or the political leadership of Russian Federation will untie the hands of Russian militarism, Russian security services, to take all the necessary actions to actually deter the enemy, including NATO member states that are committing acts of war against Russia literally on a daily basis. Such an order, in my personal opinion, hands of Russian militaries and their security services should be untied always, and definitely since the first minute of the special military operation. But such order, such political decision from Moscow did not came yet, right? And I guess everybody is waiting. Everybody is waiting, by the way. When Putin gonna say enough is enough? We try diplomacy, we try restraint, we try everything we could to bring Western elites to their senses without some special means being deployed, and there nothing works. So you know what? Now our militaries, our security services take their actions that you think are necessary. Hopefully, such an order from a Russian president will come soon, because yet again, I'm big skeptic of all these talks between Moscow and Washington. Uh, Nothing positive gonna come out of it, man. It's impossible, right? U.S. ruling class, current ruling class of the U.S. cannot be trusted, and the Western ruling class in general cannot be trusted. Just cannot be trusted. Period. And there is no but after that. They just cannot be trusted, brother. You either gonna exterminate them or stay away from them. But to try to do some business with them is total waste of time, by the way, because no agreement that you might think you have reached with the Western ruling class is gonna be honored by their opponent side. It is what it is, man. That's the objective reality. We might don't like this situation, and we don't obviously, but that's the reality, man. And reality don't cares. I mean, what we like and what we don't. Western ruling class cannot be trusted. Period. Another topic is Iran, of course. Another topic is Iran, and on this topic, by the way, Khamenei, supreme leader of Iran, stated that any U.S. aggression against Iran will lead to regional conflict, which is exactly the point, by the way, why Western ruling class wants to attack Iran. They want regional war. That's exactly that goal that they have right now in this wider strategy against China and Russia, right? And their global South, emerging multipolar world. In this particular puzzle of Middle East, puzzle of bigger picture of the war that the Western ruling class is waging against everybody, first of all, Russia and China, this puzzle is exactly about regional war. So if Khamenei thinks that with such statements, he will deter the US or anybody from the decision makers in the US from attacking Iran, man, no, it would not work. It would not work. They want exactly that. They want regional war. They want to shut down navigation in the Persian Gulf, right? And through Hormuz Strait, to cut off China from Middle Eastern energy sources, increase Chinese, force China basically, while cutting them from Middle East, force China to increase their dependence on Russian energy as much as possible towards their critical level, right? And at that point, Western ruling class plans to use their fifth columns that they unfortunately do have, I think, in both countries, in Russia and China. They will try to create some tensions between the two, right? They will try to create fear in Beijing that Moscow might turn its back on China and cut energy supplies. And of course, that will be a big deal. Such a fear for Beijing will be a big deal, because at that point, without Russian energy, Chinese economy will just simply die, right? So Beijing cannot allow this to happen, and they might find themselves in a position when they have no other option but to take a military action and secure closest energy fields. And as I said many times before, closest energy fields from China, by the way, right, are in Central Asian republics of the former Soviet Union. First of all, obviously, Kazakhstan and Turkmenistan. China is not bordering with Turkmenistan, but China borders with Kazakhstan. So Kazakhstan is potentially a future theater of military hostilities. At least that's based on plans that Western ruling class has. And of course, major oil and gas fields are in Russia. So West wants to create conditions when Beijing will take this military action against Russia too, right? And they want to create this war, by the way. China versus Russia, obviously India and Pakistan will be engulfed in all this stuff, and that will decimate whole region, right? That will decimate all their participants and even idea of the multipolar world, right? The Western ruling class will neutralize only countries that potentially can challenge them and are challenging actually right now. And which countries are these only countries? There are two, China and Russia. So this plan to work, by the way, this Western plan to work, Western ruling elites need to shut down navigation in the Persian Gulf and through Hormuz Strait, right? Otherwise, this plan would not work. Otherwise, they would not be able to force China to increase its dependence on Russia towards the critical level. They are trying, by the way. You think why globalists are cutting Europe from Russian energy? They are forcing Moscow, by the way, to divert its energy exports to sell it cheaper, right? And to sell it mainly to China. And this is happening. This is actually happening, by the way, right? And China definitely has increased their imports of the Russian energy since the beginning of the special military operation and will continue to do so. But level of share of Russian energy on Chinese in Chinese economy is not on a critical level yet. But if Western elites manage to provoke regional war in the Middle East on ethnic and sectarian lines and attack on Iran and the creation of their power vacuum in Iran and the provocation of their civil war there is definitely part of their bigger picture, bigger plan that they have for the Middle East to create this wider regional war on sectarian ethnic lines. If they succeed, obviously, there will be no navigation, by the way. There will be no safe navigation in the Persian Gulf and through Hormuz Strait. And at that point, China will have no options but to increase dependence on increase Russian imports of Russian energy as much as possible, because from where else they're going to get their oil? You know? And gas, but oil first of all. So that's what is happening, and I'm quite sure Moscow understands this. I'm quite sure China also understands this, by the way. I mean, leadership, there are think tanks, right? I'm talking about this topic, and I'm sharing my take on the strategy that Western ruling class has for more than a decade now. This is not something that I just come up yesterday or day before. That's the Western plan. I'm talking about this for I don't know, over a decade now, right? That this is the plan that Western ruling class has. And unfortunately, everything going exactly according to this plan. So there is a high probability that my reading of the big picture is actually correct. And Chinese know what is going on. Russian side knows what's going on, and they're trying to do something about it. China is investing tremendously in energy infrastructure, right? All sorts of energy infrastructure, alternative energy, clean energy, coal plants. They are doing everything, by the way. They are in constant research for additional oil or gas fields in areas that China is in control of, right? And sometimes they are actually finding some gas fields, oil fields, right, that can be useful, but nevertheless, this is just a drop in the ocean compared to overall needs of the Chinese economy, right? So it's a big topic. Obviously, and I don't know why no other channels in alternative media are talking about it. I cannot believe that they don't see that Western ruling class has this strategy. They must, man, right? It's at this point, 10 years ago, when I start first talking about this matter, maybe very few people see that, yes, that's exactly what his plan is of the Western ruling class. But now, after so many additional information is available, I mean, it's just too freaking obvious. I mean, I don't know, too obvious. But anyways, this statement of Khamenei, yet again, not gonna deter no one. Obviously, definitely not the Western ruling class from committing crimes against humanity once again and attacking Iran while trying to provoke civil war there. And by the way, that's exactly what Western ruling class gonna do. They're gonna provoke civil war in Iran, right? I'm monitoring media. I have to, because this is part of a job, right? Russian media, foreign media, MSM, and there are alternative media also. Of course, I'm monitoring, and I have seen quite a lot of. I have listened and read quite often, quite a volume of analysis from the Western experts, right? And there are discussions. None of them, literally nobody, is saying, except me, by the way, that the target of the Western ruling class in terms of Iran is to provoke civil war. I mean, have you seen anywhere that that's exactly what that's the primary target of their task of their U.S. and the other countries controlled by the Western ruling class, to provoke civil war there in Iran on sectarian and ethnic lines? It seems like just me. It's just me that is talking about it. That yes, this is not something that might happen. This is exactly what they want to happen: civil war in Iran. They don't want to do regime change. They don't want a proxy regime there, like in Venezuela now. No, man, they want civil war on ethnic and religious lines. War on religious lines, not, on a country scale, going to be difficult to provoke in Iran because vast majority is a Shiite Muslim, right? But on ethnic lines, Western ruling class has much better prospects to provoke civil war. It's not going to be easy. Obviously, there is I spoke about it in previous my programs, isn't it? There is 4 directions that they might try to provoke this civil war. There is a Beluji direction, and the Beluji people already have, by the way, there is a resistance movement. There are terrorist organizations, actually, right? There are terrorist organizations of Belujis, right, that are targeting Pakistan, targeting Afghanistan time to time, targeting Iran, right? So that's the one direction. And they already are committing terrorist attacks, and I'm quite sure Mossad, by the way, Israeli Mossad, US CIA, British MI6, they are actively working with the Belujis. I'm quite sure about it. They are arming them, supplying them with whatever. There is a Kurdish population also, significant Kurdish population in Iran on the northern side. Belujis are on the eastern side. Kurdish minority mostly is living in the northern western part of Iran, right? And Kurdish community in the region has longer history of military armed conflicts, right? In Turkey, in Syria, in Iraq, even in Iran, by the way. There are some Kurdish terrorist organizations that were committing terrorist attacks on Iran. And as you know, these Kurdish groups, armed groups, have well-established connections with the very same Israeli secret services, US secret services, British secret services, French, German, by the way. I mean, Kurdish forces were receiving support and assistance from for decades from Europe and US, right? So they will be used, most likely, of course, to provoke this regional civil war. But it would not be enough. it would not be enough to descend whole of Iran, by the way, into civil war. It would not be enough to spell then this civil war on neighboring countries. So they have to, and Western ruling class knows this, so they will try, by the way, to provoke civil war between two major ethnic groups in Iran, Persians and Azerbaijanis. That's the two major ethnic groups, right? It's not going to be easy to provoke confrontation between these two groups because both ethnicities are nation builders. Both ethnicities play fundamental role in the creation, in preservation of their culture, tradition, civilization that we call Iran, and both ethnicities are the major ones, right? Persians are 50-60%, Azerbaijanis are at 30%, maybe plus minus, right? So it's two major groups, and the Western ruling class will try to provoke a conflict between them. And if they succeed in that case, of course, there will be high risk that they will manage to spell them, transfer these hostilities, this war on ethnic and sectarian lines into other parts of the Middle East, which will eventually cause navigation in Persian Gulf and through Hormuz Strait to be shut down or distracted severely. That's how it is, right? So if anybody thinks, by the way, that statements like this, where is the statement? Yeah, statements like this from Khamenei that any U.S. aggression against Iran will lead to a regional war. If anybody in Tehran thinks that that's gonna deter the Western ruling class, no, man. They want regional war. They want it, and not just between the countries. And the Western ruling class obviously will work actively to provoke conflict between the countries too, between the Saudi Arabia and Iran, between others, right? There. But main focus of the Western ruling class is to provoke, to destabilize the region and provoke wars on ethnic and sectarian lines, because these type of confrontations are most bloodiest and most difficult to stop, right? And the Western ruling class wants to shut down navigation in the Persian Gulf for years and years and years, by the way, not just for a week or two or a month, for years, so that China will have no option but to increase its dependence on Russian energy up to absolute critical. And because Western ruling class wants to provoke these sectarian wars and ethnic wars in the region, well, attacks on Iran, by the way, gonna be focused exactly on that, to create a vacuum, power vacuum, right? And to force basically different groups, different ethnic groups included, to start fighting for the power. And hopefully Western ruling class will fail, right? And in order Western ruling class to fail, Tehran has to understand, regional elites in the Middle East have to understand what is the game plan of the Western ruling class. They are not afraid of regional war. They want regional war in the Middle East. They want it, right? But this kind of statements from Khamenei can be seen as an indicator that well, maybe some people in Iran don't really understand what's going on in reality. You know, attack on Iran not going to be similar to Western attack on Iraq, man. It's not going to be similar. It's going to be very different. RIA Novosti is reporting that, well, Iran designated the armed forces of EU countries as a terrorist organizations Good. Iran's parliament has designated the armed forces of the EU member states as a terrorist organizations. Its speaker, Mohammed Bagher Ghalibaf, announced, according to Article 7 of the law on in response to designation of the IRGC, Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, as a terrorist organization, the armed forces of European countries are considered terrorist groups, and the consequences of these actions will fail on their EU. IRIB, IRIB news agency quoted this Mohammed Bagher Ghalibaf, speaker of the Iranian parliament. So, okay, by the way, Iran has designated their EU armies of their EU member states as terrorist organizations, because that's what they are actually, right? They're genocidal maniacs and they're mass murderers, obviously, right? NATO is a terrorist organization. NATO member states are terrorist regimes, are led by terrorist regimes, and EU is a terrorist organization, and their EU member states are led, obviously, by terrorist regimes, and with a few exceptions, geographical ones too, obviously. There is almost complete similarity between EU member states and their NATO member states. It's the same freaking countries, right? With the exception of few. US obviously is not a EU member, right? UK is not a EU member, and there are some few exemptions, but generally speaking, understandable decision, obviously. And I have said many times before, by the way, it is long overdue for international community outside of the Western world, at least, right, to designate Western elites as a evil force, literally as an evil force, and the existential threat for humanity. This is the language that has to be used, by the way, whenever there is talk about elites of the West. It's an evil force, existential threat for humanity, and whole world has to face this truth. If we want to survive, by the way, if we as a humanity want to survive, if you don't know who your enemy is, then how are you going to beat your enemy? You need to know who is your enemy. And our enemy is a Western ruling class. And therefore, we have to designate this Western ruling class for what it is. It's an evil force and existential threat for all of humanity. And it does not matter, by the way, you live in Paris somewhere, or Berlin, or London, or Washington, or in New Delhi, or in Jakarta, right? Or in Canberra, by the way, or Moscow. Western ruling class is an existential threat for all of humanity, for everybody, period. And well, I think also report that needs to be addressed. Ali Larijani, by the way, top aide of Supreme Leader of Iran, who was visiting Moscow, by the way, just like 2 days ago. He had a meeting with the Russian president, right? And I reported about it in my previous updates. And if by chance, by the way, you are first time on my show, subscribe and watch my updates, because there is a lot of topics that we discuss on daily basis. And so Ali Larijani, by the way, stated that Iran is preparing for negotiations with the US, despite their media hype. Despite the media hype and despite the atmosphere of their artificial media war, the formation of their structure for the negotiation is progressing. And yet again, by the way, on one side, Khamenei, Supreme Leader of Iran, is saying that, well, attack on Iran will cause regional war. And it seems like he thinks that's a deterrent, or will be deterrent for the Western ruling class, which is not really the case, right? Regional war, exactly what Western ruling class wants. Here we have an aide of Supreme Leader of Iran saying that they are working on a group to conduct some negotiations with the US side. As if, by the way, past is absolutely irrelevant. Are they have this short memory really in Tehran? I mean, Iranian leadership. Don't they remember that Israel-US attack was launched on Iran exactly during the negotiations that Iran was engaged with the American side. Exactly during the negotiations, Iran was attacked. And many media outlets, including Israeli media outlets, have stated that US President personally, US President and his aide Witkov were personally engaged in a deception operation. They knew that those negotiations would lead nowhere because they knew attack on Iran was planned and will be executed. And they participated in this deception operation, in these fake negotiations to catch Iranian leadership off guard. And they did succeed in that, in some ways at least, right? In many ways, actually. And now to hear these kind of statements again, by the way, from high-ranking officials in Iran, I don't know, man. It does not sounds good, man. It does not sound right? These people are either delusional, right, or not really qualified to lead the country. What negotiations? What are you talking about? You should be focused now to link up with all the ethnic groups, by the way, with all the with everybody inside the country to make sure that Western ruling class is not going to manage to provoke civil war. That's what you should be focused on, Ali Larijani. Not on the talks with not on the useless freaking talks with the US, but on the talks with your own people inside Iran to make sure that there's going to be no freaking civil war, because Americans and Israelis and their allies will manage to create a power vacuum. They will do it, man. They have enough firepower to create a local power vacuums in different regions, right? Even if they will fail to succeed in a decapitation strike, even if they fail to eliminate a supreme leader of Iran or president or other high-ranking officials. There is not just Tehran, isn't it? There is other centers also in different regions, and that's exactly the direction that the US is going to be focused on. Not just on strikes on Tehran, but on other regional centers, right? To create the power vacuum and create a ground for different groups to start fight for the power. So I don't know, man. I don't know what the hell is going on there. But yet again, instead of being engaged in these useless freaking talks with their American side, they should talk to their own people, man. Right? To Belugis, by the way, to Kurds, and Azerbaijanis and Persians constantly are in the conversation, by the way. I mean, these are two nation builders in Iran, right? And right now, one would struggle to distinguish which party is playing more important role in security of Iran and so on, right? Because yet again, there would be no Iran without Azerbaijani community there, and obviously there would be no modern Iran without Persians. It's just, that's how it is. And that's why I'm saying Western ruling class might struggle big time to provoke a full-scale civil war in Iran, but talk is needed, right? Iranian leadership has to be focused on internal unity and stop wasting time on this nonsense, right? They are working on a group to negotiate with Americans. Are you freaking stupid or suicidal? Meanwhile, Al Jazeera is reporting that Iran announced their holding of naval exercises in the Strait of Hormuz near American warships. Well, this is Al Jazeera, by the way. For whatever reason, Al Jazeera a couple of days ago reported that exercises, Iran was there was a planned exercises of Iranian, Russian, and Chinese navies in Persian Gulf in Hormuz Strait, which was fake news, and it is anybody's guess why Al Jazeera shared this kind of fake news. Unfortunately, neither Russia nor China have sent any naval assets there as a deterrent, and I have said before, by the way, only way, realistic way now to deter Western ruling class from attacking Iran and from attacking Middle East, basically from this fundamental push to create a regional war there on ethnic and sectarian lines. Only way to stop it, or at least try, to come up with serious steps in terms of deterrence is if either together, Russia and China, hopefully India too, either together or separately will issue strict warning to the Western countries that attack on Iran in any way, shape, or form will be considered as an attack on Russia, China, India, right? Because we cannot allow Middle East to be destabilized, man. We just cannot allow Middle East to be destabilized. It's fundamental. It's a stability in the Middle East has a fundamental meaning for regional security and security of Russia, China, and the whole world, I will say. And I don't know, man. I don't know how this might be the case that neither Moscow, neither Beijing, at least for now, did not come up with such a very strong statement, very strong step, right? So this is not good. If we allow Middle East to be destabilized, by the way, then well, I will argue that this happened because of the active work of Western fifth columns in both countries, in China and Russia. Because no way we can allow Western ruling class to destabilize Middle East, man. It's just too freaking dangerous, right? And if neither Moscow, neither Beijing will take some real steps, then that will give you an indicator how powerful Western fifth columns actually are in Russia and China. And history knows examples. I have said in previous updates, isn't it? History knows examples when such statements actually not just make the sense, but actually resolve the crisis. Because you remember it was 1971, right? Bangladesh was fighting for independence from Pakistan. Bangladesh was called Eastern Pakistan at the time. And Pakistan was treating Bangladeshi people horribly, right? And there was a struggle for independence. India supported their Bangladeshi people. There was a war erupted basically between Pakistan and India. And you think NATO countries were supporting which country? Democracy. I love to talk constantly. Democracy. You think they were supporting democracy, which is India, by the way, right? Or Pakistan, which never was democracy. Since the creation of Pakistan, this republic was never a democracy. It was a mix of military dictatorship and theocracy, right? Always. Pakistan was never democracy. And you think Western world was supporting which country? Pakistan, by the way. And they send their armada, right? They send massive armada, by the way, led by US aircraft carriers to decimate India, basically. And you know what happened? It's 1971, by the way. I mean, just in case you have not heard about it, just Google it. And Soviet Union, Moscow, send a couple of Navy assets, including, reports are that including nuclear submarines, and make it clear for everybody that you attack India, we will take it as an attack on us and we will obliterate you. And Moscow was serious, by the way. No one dared to attack India from that anti-Indian coalition led by US, UK, and other Western countries. None of them dared to attack India. So it worked. This statement of Moscow actually worked, by the way, right? Because yet again, Western ruling class was not suicidal then, and it's not suicidal now too, man. I don't think they are suicidal. But difference is that in 1971, Western ruling class had no doubts that Moscow was not bluffing. They had no doubts that Moscow was not bluffing, by the way. And if this anti-Indian coalition would go ahead and start attacking India, they knew Russia, Soviet Union would literally turn the Western world into radioactive dust, radioactive wasteland. They knew it. And difference from 71 to nowadays is that today, I guess nobody, literally nobody among Western elites believes that, Moscow is not bluffing. Whenever there is some strong statement about anything from Moscow. And Western, representatives of the Western elites publicly are saying that, well, Moscow is bluffing. They're not going to do nothing. That's the attitude, difference of the attitude that Western elites had then and now. But they are not suicidal, by the way, today, and they were not suicidal in 71. So I think the march, if Moscow and Beijing together, or even if Moscow alone, man, will make it clear, right, that attack on Iran is attack on Russia, and we will take retaliatory steps, including deployment of nuclear weapons against all countries that will dare to attack Iran. I'm quite sure, by the way, Western ruling class will reconsider its policies. Quite sure about it because they are not suicidal. And you know what? I'm free for offer if Russian president has some issues to make such a statement. Let them invite me to take some position, man. Deputy of their Peskov for 24 hours. I'll make statements, man, and I'll make such statements. Or let me be president of Russia for 24 hours, man. And I will make sure, by the way, that nobody ever gonna have any doubts that when Moscow says something, it means business, right? So there is a ways to stop Western ruling class, this freaking mother evil force. All is needed is a will and a political decision, right? And if one is not ready to die, man, then why get involved in a fight at all? We are in a war, right? This is an existential war, by the way. West is waging war on Russia, and they want to destroy Russia. They want to destroy livelihood of all of us, right? They want to destroy future of our kids. And if our generation is not ready to die for the future of our kids, then why we are alive anyways? How we deserve existence anyways, man? So if anybody in Kremlin is not ready to fucking die, man, maybe they should reconsider their career choices. Because a man should be ready to die every fucking day of his life. Every day. If necessary, you should be ready to give your life. If you are a man. And if you are a fucking nobody, then just go away, man, and kill yourself. That's how it is. Let's continue with some other news now. Qatar Prime Minister meets with Iran's Larijani in Tehran. Qatari leader I mean, not Qatari, but UAE leader was here in Moscow just a few days ago. And there are obviously regional issues was, Middle Eastern topic was number one, understandably so. And now it is good that Qatari prime minister is in having a meeting with the Iranian leadership. But yet again, based on statements that I'm hearing, by the way, from open source, statements of these officials, right? Not just in Iran, but other regional countries too, man. It seems like they don't really understand what is the game plan of the Western ruling class. It clearly does not seem like they know what's going on. And after all, where is a statement of foreign ministry of Saudi Arabia to debunk the claim of Axios that Saudi defense minister, while visiting Washington, said that if U.S. wouldn't attack Tehran, then Iranian government will regain even more influence and the power. And basically, Iran, according to reports, Saudi defense minister was kind of encouraging U.S. to take action, military action against Iran. So why, if Axios is lying about it, and I report about this topic in previous updates, isn't it? If Axios was lying, by the way, why foreign ministry of Saudi Arabia didn't say nothing until now? Why they didn't react on the matter? And if Saudi leadership actually thinks that somehow they're going to be okay, then that means they have no freaking idea what the game plan is of the Western ruling class, right? If any regime in a region there, Saudis, UAE, Qatar, Bahrain, whatever, if anybody there thinks that, US might attack Iran and Iraq also, who cares, man? We're gonna do business anyways. We're gonna be all fine. If they actually think so, I mean, they are freaking morons, man. They are so out of touch with reality, right? And if they think that there are hundreds of billions of assets in the Western world, means more than are more important than regional stability and security, then they are even bigger morons, right? Because they're gonna lose freaking everything. If Western ruling class succeeds in their plans of destabilization of the region, these monarchies, by the way, in the region, they're gonna lose fucking everything, man, and they actually deserve to lose everything, right? But I'm worried about ordinary people. Right? Ordinary people didn't deserve none of it, and of course, I'm worried about the strategical interests of the Russia and the rest of the world. We cannot allow region to be destabilized. We just cannot allow this to happen, man. You cannot exaggerate the importance of the stability in this region. And Sergei Shoigu, by the way, Sergei Shoigu arrived on a visit to China, where he plans to discuss issues of international and regional security with the Chinese foreign minister. And Sergei Shoigu is, of course, secretary of the Russian Security Council. And this is good news in one way. In some ways, this is good news because maybe Moscow and Beijing is working on some possible combined statement in type of what I just described, that to deter Western ruling class, that neither Russia, neither China will allow anybody to attack Iran and destabilize the region. Maybe Moscow and Washington actually are working on a combined statement. And that's why Shoigu is in Beijing. I don't know. But yet again, dear friends, if Moscow and Beijing will allow attacks on Iran to happen, Iran to be descend to civil war, and the entire region to be engulfed in a civil wars and total destabilization, if either Moscow or Beijing will allow navigation in the Persian Gulf and through Hormuz Strait to be shut down, man, or severely distracted, that means that influence of Western fifth columns in both Russia and China is just too freaking big. That's how it is, man. Right? So we will see. We will see how powerful this fifth column of traitors that are working for the Western ruling class is actually. We will see how powerful they are. It's only like a couple of days left, right? Before either Western ruling class will be deterred and forced to retreat and leave the region alone, region of the Middle East, or they're gonna go ahead and launch a massive assault on Iran and on security of all region. We will find out. RIA Novosti, meanwhile, is reporting that Putin received I already reported about it, by the way. I already reported that a few days ago, day before yesterday, that was, isn't it? Russian president received the supreme leader of secretary of Iran's Supreme National Security Council and the top aide of Iran's supreme leader, Larijani, right? And yeah, it is obvious that talk between the two was mostly about security of the region, right? But at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised at all if Larijani and Putin not just discussed possible Russian assistance in terms of intelligence, in terms of military weapons and so on, but maybe they also discussed the topic of evacuation of either families of the leadership of Iran, or maybe leaders too, leading figures too, including supreme leader. I don't know. Anything is possible, but yet again, best step and absolutely necessary step that is required from Moscow, I think now, based on the best interests of the Russian Federation, long-term interests of the Russian Federation, as I see it, right? Best step Moscow can do, together with China or alone, is to make it clear to everybody that Russia will never allow attack on Iran, will never allow destabilization of Middle East, and if anyone attacks Iran, that will mean attack on Russia, and Russia will retaliate with the nuclear weapons. I mean, language can be used there, there might be different words, right? But meaning has to be like that. As you attack Iran, we will freaking take you out, right? And then we will see. We will see. I think it will work. Maybe Western elites are lying, and not, or at least not all of them, are thinking that Putin is bluffing constantly. So let's check. Let's check, by the way. And if they attack Iran anyways after such a statement, then you know what? Let's do what we say then. Let's obliterate all of them, right? And we will die too, by the way, obviously, but okay, we're all gonna die anyways. We're all gonna die anyways, man. Today or after 100 years, but we're all gonna die. No one's gonna stay here forever. So it's stupid to afraid of death, man. It's just freaking stupid. And that is actually even interesting, because I wonder what the heck is going on after this life, man. Don't you? So that is not intimidating me personally, right? And as I said, man, if you ever said that you have principles and values in this life, then if you actually do, man, you should be ready to die any day, without hesitation. if you are real. Let's see, by the way, let's see what is going to happen next. But I'm 100% convinced we cannot allow destabilization of the Middle East. We just cannot allow this to happen. RT is reporting that Trump, meanwhile, is issuing ultimatum to Cuba as a humanitarian crisis looms. The Cuban authorities would have to reach an agreement with Washington if they want to avoid their humanitarian crisis. U.S. President Donald Trump has warned. I mean, U.S. is creating humanitarian crisis. U.S. leadership is committing crime against humanity, not just in Cuba, but all over the world, right? And these criminals that are in charge of US, then there to talk about humanity and the human values and their principles. I mean, so disgusting, man, so disgusting, right? So they are issuing ultimatums. They are threatening Cuba, and well, I don't know what's gonna happen, but I would like to see Russia standing strong with Cuba, right? I would love to see Russian military assets being sent to Cuba while escorting convoy of vessels with their oil, with their all sorts of goods that Cuban people need right now. And if US dares to stop Russian convoy, let's freaking obliterate them, man. Let's fucking kill them all. That's it. You know, that's it, man. Why we are messing around? Why we are playing these games, man? Who the hell is US ruling class? Who the hell is freaking Trump, man, to be allowed to terrorize millions of people? Let them tens of millions of people actually worldwide. Not just millions of people in Cuba, but tens of millions of people in Iran and elsewhere. Who the hell is either Trump, either anybody from the leadership of the Western world? Who are these creatures, man? Who are these scum? Why we are allowing them to behave this way, man? Let's fucking kill them all, man. We can do it, isn't it? We can do it, man. Why we are tolerating this nonsense? I just don't get it, really. This dirty fucking prostitute, Trump, this pedophile, Trump, is now threatening millions of citizens of Cuba too. When this pedophile is gonna be stopped, man, and the Western ruling class is all the pedophiles, man, all the scum of humanity. That's what they are. If you are looking for a decent human being in the Western ruling class, stop wasting your time. You're not gonna find one, because there is none. There is not a single decent human being in our Western so-called elites, man. None. And the very same pedophile Trump is talking now as a president of Venezuela also, and inviting India and China to invest in Venezuela. You know, once he posted this picture, isn't it, AI generated picture or whatever it was, when there was a Trump's picture and their sign below president or acting president or something of Venezuela. He's acting like one. Instead of Venezuelan government, Trump is inviting Chinese and Indian businesses to invest in Venezuela. Is it normal, by the way? You think this is normal? It's not, man. And this nonsense has been tolerated. Why? Why, man? And Trump also said I hate to talk about this garbage, man, this scum of humanity, this pedophile. There is additional files being published, Epstein files. And Trump was directly accused by minors of committing crimes against those minors. Trump, this pedophile, is dismissing the allegations. He's dismissing even questions on the matter. He went to say that the published Epstein files are somehow working in his favor and he's been cleared or something. Sick psycho. This is a sickening biological mistake, right? Biological rubbish. Trump and all the others, all of them that represent Western elites, right? All of them are biological rubbish, right? This garbage is saying that there is talks now around Greenland, allegedly, that has started. Who knows what he means, what talks? Neither Greenland, neither Denmark made any statements on this matter. So maybe Trump is just lying, as he does quite often, right, on a regular basis. Also interesting report, I think, from RT that Pentagon wants killer AI without safeguards. Originally, this report is coming from Reuters. The U.S. Department of War is locked in a dispute with the artificial intelligence developer Anitropic over the restrictions that would limit how the military can deploy AI systems, including the autonomous weapons, targeting, and domestic surveillance. Their disagreement has told the contract worth up to $200 million, as the military officials are pushing back against what they see as excessive limits imposed by their San Francisco-based company on their use of its technology. Reuters reported, citing 6 people familiar with the matter. Anthropic has raised concerns that its AI tools could be used to carry out lethal operations without sufficient human oversight or to surveil Americans, source told Reuters. And the Pentagon hexed, by the way, this idiot, right, that should not be allowed to work even as a doorman, and he's been appointed as a head of Pentagon. This idiot and his colleagues are pushing now for AI robots, killer AI robots, by the way, to be adopted without necessary safeguards in place. You know, how normal is that? And is there any demonstrations in the US about this? Anything? No. There is demonstrations in the US, of course, but they're politically motivated ones, right? Politically motivated ones. There was a massive demonstrations against ICE and this Democrat camp versus Republican camp and the other way around. Typical divide and conquer, typical tactics of the Western elites, man. Divide and conquer. And if you think anybody from actual decision makers have any care how many people will protest in how many cities, man, no, man, they don't. They actually enjoy this game, and they are good at it, right? They are good at it, man. These groups of special interests that are actually pulling the strings, by the way, are in charge of this almost entire world for the last 3 to 5 centuries. So you can imagine how good they are in this game. Vzglyad newspaper is also reporting that, and you might find this news laughable, by the way, in some ways, right? Finnish army denies requests to spare US troops during Arctic exercises. So the Finnish military has denied the earlier reports that its troops were asked to show leniency towards American troops during the joint Viking exercises in the Arctic. Media reported the official statement from the Finnish Jager Brigade states, "We do not acknowledge that the situation described in the Times occurred, which would have forced their Finnish military to reduce pressure during their exercises. Brigade representatives also emphasized that Finnish forces in a joint Viking operation alongside the Americans and did not play an adversary role according to their war zone. More than 10,000 soldiers from 9 NATO countries, including the United States, Norway, Finland, Britain, France, Germany, the Netherlands, Belgium, and Canada, participated in a joint Viking 2025. The maneuvers focused on the practicing cooperation, and maneuvers actually were focused on crossing the border with the Russian Federation and entering the Russian territory. That's what these exercises were all about. And I have said many times before, by the way, that if Western ruling class will go ahead with its plans to provoke direct conflict between a number of European NATO member states and Russia, then one of the directions from which they will try to attack Russia is Finland, for sure, man. And there are a number of exercises in Finland, NATO exercises have skyrocketed, by the way. Every other month, there is military exercises. And you think why? What are preparing for? For Russian invasion of Finland? No, man, they know Russia not going to invade no Finland, nobody, right? Russia will defend itself, but has no plans to attack anybody, if not provoke. So what these exercises are about attacking Russia. And yes, rumors are, and Times report about it, that these American units were so weak that Finnish troops were asked to have some mercy, right, and spare U.S. soldiers because they were freaking dying, man, right? Not literally, but they were dying out of exhaustion. They were absolutely not ready for anything, man. And some experts calling U.S. Army, U.S. military is number one military in this world, man. What a joke! What a joke, man. Commerçant newspaper is also reporting that, as I already said earlier, by the way, this pedophile Trump commented on the release of Epstein files with the words, exonerates me. I mean, this freaking moron, man, actually thinks that, his name is being cleared somehow. Unbelievable, man. And you know what? How anybody in this world, man, can how anybody in this world can support Trump, man. I mean, if you are American, you are Republican traditionalist, by the way. I mean, you have to have values and principles, right? And how on earth, honestly, man, how on earth you can be supporter of this scam, Trump? If you did not knew better before, okay. I mean, nobody is perfect, right? Everyone makes mistakes, but you know now, isn't it? So either you have to ignore everything that you know, and in that case, you don't really have principles and values, or you're gonna stand on your principles and say, you know what? No, man, there's no way I'm gonna support these scumbags that hijacked Republican Party and their ideology of traditionalism, by the way, itself. There was by the way, there was a couple of donations through PayPal during the stream. Also commentary, and I will of course react on it. Straight after the news segment, and there is a couple of news left, not that much, really. Let me just copy this. let me just copy these screenshots that Anna sent me. She's at work now, and she's working, I'm working. We have no freaking day off. And let me simultaneously, by the way, same time check the Rumble. So there was no super chat on Rumble. It does not shows me any. So I guess there was no super chat on Rumble. Just to make sure that I'm not gonna miss, by the way, any question or the commentary. And let me check Boosty too. So nothing from Boosty. So okay. Let's continue with the news. And you know what? I will shut down these pages that I already mentioned. Couple of more news, by the way. Glad newspaper reported, and I think this is important news, that Germany's national debt has reached a historic high, and Germany is, of course, still number one economy in Europe. So Germany's public debt has grown by almost a fifth since the first quarter of 2021, aimed EU sanctions against Russia, reaching its highest level ever in the third quarter of 2025, according to data from the Statistics Bureau, the Statis. Germany's public debt has reached their highest level according to RIA Novosti report. According to their statistical bureau, the Statis, the country's public debt in the third quarter of 2025 amounted to 2.79 trillion euros, almost 3 trillion euros, by the way, Germany's debt. A 17.3% increase compared to 2.38 trillion in the first quarter of the 2021. Well, I mean, 3 trillion debt of almost 3 trillion debt of Germany is, of course, nothing close to what the US has, right? US debt is like 38 plus trillion dollars. But nevertheless, 3 trillion for declining Germany's economy is a quite a burden, I will say, right? It's quite a burden, and none of this would happen. By the way, if Germany was led by some adequate people who actually cares about interests of the German people. Because German people never asked to destroy relationships with Russia, and thereby doing so to destroy prospects of the German economy and their subsequently standard of living and livelihoods of German people. But Germany is led by scumbags, right? Germany is led by filth, globalist puppets, and that's what happens when filth is in charge of our entire country. Decline, total disaster. And on the very same matter, German giant, by the way, Bosch, announced it would cut 20,000 more jobs. So yeah, that's where Germany is. Almost every other week, by the way, companies after companies, big names, small names, no names, by the way, are either going bankrupt or moving their production elsewhere, or just doing some massive layoffs, right? Firing tens of thousands of people, right? And their Bosch is no exception. So that's what's going on in Germany, by the way. Yesterday, I was asked what is going on commodity markets. Why silver price dropped, gold price also dropped, by the way. And well, this is, I guess, correction because it was abnormal. What we were observing in past several days was absolutely abnormal, man. Prices were skyrocketing, but there's gonna be some correction for a day or two, and then price is gonna go up again, and maybe even before end of this year, gold will reach I don't know 7,000 for an ounce, maybe. Definitely before end of 2027, but maybe even before end of this year. Gold and silver prices plunge on Friday in one of the worst single-day declines in a year after U.S. President Donald Trump named the former Federal Reserve Governor Kevin Warsh to lead the central bank. Gold fell 12% from its January 29 peak of roughly 5,600 per ounce to around 4,800, making its steepest one-day loss in more than a decade, although it's still up about 65%, by the way, year-on-year terms, right? Silver, which had far outpaced gold gains over the past year, sunk more than 30% to under $80 an ounce, its worst drop since 1980. The rout wiped out more than 7.4 trillion from gold and silver prices in 24 hours, roughly equivalent to quarter of the US economy. And yet again, this is a correction. We should understand that because of the situation on the commodity markets, of course, all sorts of speculators will also try to use the opportunities, right? And so they're gonna be, higher volatility maybe on the commodity markets. But and yet again, by the way, I'm not an economical expert, but at least anything that I have said in past several years about gold and commodities, I mean, literally everything become true, right? I mean, literally, man. I was saying gold will be 5,000 when actual price at the time was like, I don't know, maybe not even 2,000. So wasn't I correct? Yes. So that means my reading of the big picture is correct, right? Because I was not making guesses. I was explaining my take, right? And fundamentally, nothing has changed. Process of de-dollarization going to continue. Who does give a damn about who is a head of central bank in the U.S.? Who gonna be in charge of Federal Reserve? Who cares, man? Who cares? If U.S. drops their interest rate that Trump is demanding or something, that will make situation even worse. That will make situation even worse, by the way. If anything, U.S. has to increase interest rate, right? It might be intuitive on a first glimpse, but if anything, they have to increase interest rate to somehow slow down the valuation of the dollar. But they're not going to do this, man. They're not going to do this, right? And I think further decrease in dollar's value will continue. Just in past 12 months, by the way, I remind you the dollar lost 10% of its value, which is big, right? Process will only accelerate. Also, keep in mind that there is a freaking tremendous bubble in our U.S. stock markets, right? I mean, if you actually believe that this scam IT companies, scamming AI companies, and they are actually scamming people, by the way, while creating unrealistic expectations. If you think those scam companies actually worth trillions, then I don't know, man. I have entire Everest mountains, Himalaya mountains, sorry, by the way, including Everest and the K2 and all the others in my pocket right here, and I will sell it to you. If you actually believe that those garbage companies are worth trillions, they don't, right? So it's a tremendous bubble on US and Western stock markets, generally speaking, and they're going to burst one day, and everyone understands this. And when they burst, it's going to be 10 times worse than freaking .com crisis, right? 10 times, 20, 100 times worse, man. US gonna face economical crisis that they have never seen, man. Uh, Big depression of early uh, 20th century is gonna look like freaking nothing compared to what is going to happen to US, man. US economy in next, I would say 5 to 10, maximum 15 years, by the way, right? So therefore, where the investors gonna go? Where investors gonna go, man? Into commodities that are always maintain the status, right? And they're obviously among these commodities, gold, silver, platinum, whatever, they're always gonna have a value, right? So that's it. They're gonna be some uh, what is the word, by the way? They're gonna be some turbulence on the market, yeah, of course, but eventually, give it time. Gold will reach 7,000, then 10,000, and then maybe even higher, because clearly it seems like dollar is going to be replaced by one way or another by dollar. And by the way, I'm gonna end this news segment on this information that State Duma called for Russia to abandon the American mortgage model, buying their home through construction savings banks instead of mortgages will cost their borrowers 2.5 times less. Sergei Mironov, chairman of the Just Russia Party, told the TASS news agency. Let me remind, and this is quote, by the way, let me remind you that a mortgage is an American model for acquiring real estate through collateral. There is the European model of building savings banks, and we've been pushing for their implementation for a long time. Purchasing a home through building saving banks will cost our citizens approximately 2.5 times less than a mortgage, the deputy said. The politician also proposed developing a system of rental housing in Russia to solve the housing issue. And Mironov also noted that given current housing prices, mortgages are unaffordable for many citizens, and for those who take them out, it's like a debt trap, because it is, man. It is. Well, uh, something has to be done about the housing market. That's for sure. And I don't know what Just Russia Party or their fraction in the parliament will manage to do in this regard, but something definitely has to be done. And right now, by the way, mortgage is just unaffordable. Mortgage is just unaffordable. I am working, right? I have my own business here. Time to time, I might do some side work, right? I'm making some money. My wife is working, and we are unable. We are not even close, by the way. We are not even close, actually, to be able to take a mortgage. It's just too freaking expensive, man. You know, if banks would even give us a mortgage, by the way, it's gonna be too expensive, so we would not be able to take it. So something definitely has to be done about it, man. And obviously, as any normal parents, and I hope I am a good parent, by the way, I'm trying. Of course, I would love to leave to my kids their own house. It could be a flat, by the way, in a city, or house, private house on outskirts of the Moscow, or in the Moscow region. I would love to leave to my kids home, their own home, right? And I'm around 50, not 50 yet, right? And I can hopefully I can work actively next 20 25 years. And if mortgage was available, accessible, I would take it, man. Right now we pay more than $1,000 every month, by the way, for this flat, right? That we rent. And of course, if I would prefer to pay very same $1,000 for a house that will be ours, right? Once we will pay it all. But there is no such offers, man. There is no such a freaking offers. Right now, I pay like about $1,100-$1,200. It all depends on exchange rate, but about $1,100-$1,200 every single month, by the way, for this flat. And I would be happier to pay for my home, right? Home that I'm gonna leave to my kids. But yet again, there is no such offers on the market, man. I cannot take mortgage. We my family are not in position to afford mortgage, and definitely one way or another, but something has to be done, man, because what the hell, why we are copying useless models from the west that prove to be garbage? Why we are copying, man? Don't we have brains? Don't we can come up with the better solutions? Of course we can, right? And banksters, these freaking criminals, right? And I hate banksters, man. I hate them. But nevertheless, they have to be put in their places, man. They have to be put in their places. Central Bank of Russia interest rate is like 16% now, right? And if you want to take a loan, by the way, you know what's gonna be rate from the commercial banks? 25% and higher. What the fuck, man? What the fuck? If they will even give you loan, then interest rate from the commercial banks will be 25%, 30%, something like that, maybe higher. While central bank has a 16% rate. So you see gap, man. Is it normal? No, man. Gap should be like 2-3% max, 5% maximum, man. No more than that. But banksters, these freaking criminals, they don't care, man. They don't care about country. They don't care about society. They don't care about anything but money. The fucking animals, man. And they have to be put in place. A normal country that is led by people with their normal priorities, that's exactly what will happen. And hopefully, Kremlin is thinking about it. This is not normal. What is going on? Am I correct? So hopefully something is going to be done, man. But when? It is what it is. I just wanted to end our new segment on this report because, as you can see, dear friends, not everything is, as I have said many times before, no country is perfect, right? No country is perfect. And just because Russian economy is withstanding Western pressure and did not collapse does not mean that we are not facing issues here, by the way. We are facing issues, right? And one of those issues are unaffordable housing or unaffordable mortgages, let's say. Rental prices are also over the roof, right? Inflation is fucking going crazy, I will say. It's definitely not the 6-7% as some officials love to say or love to predict. No, it's higher than 6-7%, right? And so, yes, we are facing some issues, by the way, clearly. And hopefully those issues will be resolved. And we need more initiatives, right? I'm not sure I'm gonna have a vote for Just Russia party, but if they will come up with more and more ideas, initiatives that society will like, who knows? Maybe next ruling party gonna be there, man, and let them then implement all these promises. And that's it for the news segment. How long is this live stream, man? It's quite a long one, huh? More than 2 hours already. I can see commenter number 6 is commenting water RCP. RCP. What is the RCP? What is the RCP? Number 6. That is their nickname, by the way. And dear friends, that's about it for our news segment. Now, before I join community chat, let me check once again Rumble if there was any super chat. By the way, I cannot see, and there was no super chat on Rumble, unfortunately. By the way, if you want to support my work, one of the ways you can do it is to, you know what? Let me drop my Rumble channel link in YouTube chat, so that there will be more chances that someone might think I just drop it. By the way, should become visible there. So yeah, you can. One of the ways how you can support, by the way, is of course Rumble. Super chat on Rumble. You can become premium subscriber on Rumble. Of course, that will be great support. By the way, it's a monthly subscription, of course, and it starts from $5 there on Rumble, as it is the case on my Patreon page and page on Boosty. On Boosty, it's a little higher. It's yet again, it all depends on exchange rate, and because exchange rate is constantly changing, I just made 500 rubles fixed starting point, and it stays like that since I made the page there on the Boosty. So actual number of subscription is always different based on exchange rate, but on Patreon it's always $5 starting point, right, for monthly subscription. And there is also possibility to donate through Boosty and PayPal, obviously. And let me highlight now. Let me highlight that, by the way, there was a donation from Luke through PayPal. Thank you very much, Luke, for 7.74, I guess $10 donation that was from through PayPal. Thank you very much, Luke, for this support. And comment is support. That word. Thank you for your support. And let me also. I cannot make it to be visible on the screen, by the way, because I cannot allow personal information of the community member to be seen. But Sean, thank you very much for your $3 donation through PayPal. And comment from Sean is, I love the show, Levant, but you're live too early. Weekdays, you under 5 a.m. East Coast USA time. Everyone is sleeping 9 a.m. East Coast USA time, I believe, would help tremendously. Or wherever is your biggest market at the least 9 a.m. Thank you very much, Sean, for your comment and the donation. And I was thinking about it, that there is a big number of our community, significant number of our members of our community are from US. At least that's according to YouTube's statistics, right? And I'm always thinking, what should I do? I mean, time wise, right? And literally, like last several days, I was having a conversation with my wife. We were exchanging ideas exactly about reaching out to our community for whom current timing is not that convenient. And maybe from next week, literally from tomorrow, by the way, I will try again to do two live streams, one in the morning, one in the first half of the day, 11 a.m., 12 p.m., maybe something like that, and second one at 12 p.m. night, at 11, 12, something like that. Maybe next week I will try this way, and let's see. By the way, if this will be more convenient, or if it will work. Actually, I try to maintain such a schedule. It's going to be hard, obviously, right? But I try. If it will help me to further develop this project and to even stay in this field, then of course I'll do it, man. I'm gonna try. So thank you very much, son. I myself thinking about these timings. I'm always testing different timings, right? And let's see, man. From tomorrow, I'm gonna try one live stream in the first half of the day, and second at 12 a.m. at night or midnight, let's say. Hopefully it will work. And I will manage to reach more members of our community. Hopefully. Thank you very much. And yeah, that's about it for now. When it comes to comments, let me check Boosted, dear friends. And so should I continue live stream, dear friends? Should we exchange opinions on some topics? I can see Svetlana Vladimirova is commenting Russian Communist Party. She is recommending to vote for Russian Communist Party. Yet again, man, if they come up with ideas that I find it similar to mine, then maybe, not maybe, by the way, if a Communist Party will say that if they will win, if they will have majority, they will reestablish a death penalty, and they will designate corruption to a treason as a treason, and they will make changes, legislative changes, so that corrupt officials will be executed with a complete confiscation of everything, right? That's one principal topic for me. I'm quite sure corruption is the most important threat that Russia is facing, Russian society, Russian state institutions. So corruption and corrupt officials are their vital enemies and has to be dealt with their strong measures. That's one direction. And another one, when it comes to some social policies, after all, man, Russia is a massive country. Population is not that big, only 145 million, around that, right? So it's gonna be not just. I think that we have to have a social housing. If Soviet Union was able to have a social housing, right? When families were able to, when families were given homes, by the way, this home was state-owned, right? It was not gifted, but it was still state-owned, but at least families had a roof, right? Families had where to live, man. So if Soviet Union was able to do so, why Russia cannot? At least give their houses to young people, man. Young families. Just give their houses, man, build these freaking flats, right? Build the homes and give it to young families, right? Young families with kids. If you want to make sure that family gonna, stay strong and they're not gonna, split her in few months time, give their housing, free housing, by the way, free housing to young families with the kids. With one kid, two kid, as many, more better, more kids the better. Just do it. Russia can afford this if right policies are implemented, right? And yet again, these bankers, these criminals have to be dealt, man. This is not normal when central bank's rating is crazy 16%, which is extremely high on its own. And bankers, these banks, by the way, are giving loans with the 25, 30% and higher interest rates. What the hell, man? Why these banks are allowed to rob basically people of Russia? What the hell? This is wrong on so many levels, right? So bankers has to be dealt, man. I'm not saying that banks should not exist. Current model of economy demands banks to exist, right? But there have to be checks, man. You cannot allow these criminals to go away and do whatever they want, man. And yet again, I have no respect for freaking banksters, man. Never will, right? I have no respect for people that gives loans for profit, man. In general, it's a sin, right? It's a sin, man. It's a sin. That's what they are committing sin. I may not be very religious, but it's a sin, man, right? It's a sin in Christianity. It's a sin in Islam, by the way. I don't know about other religions, but in Christianity, in Islam, this is no good, man. When you are profiteering on this way, right? So, and there is many other policies, by the way, that I would love to see being implemented, and I think are necessary. And if Communist Party will do it, then why not? I will go and vote for them. I have no issue with that. What I definitely not gonna do is vote for current ruling party, because most of the officials in Russia, most of the high-ranking officials in all the regions are from where? Which party? Ruling party, right? And every other day there is reports, isn't it, that high-ranking official here and high-ranking official there were arrested, and there are corruption charges and fraud charges and this and that. And I mean, if you have so many freaking corrupt people in your party, then why on earth anybody should freaking support you, man, and trust you, right? That's my logic. So therefore, I will never ever vote for current ruling party, man. Not happening. Any other discussion is open. I see Nitish Kumar is asking, Levan, how much interest does agricultural loans are charged? I don't know specifically about agricultural loans, but yet again, by the way, I mean, banksters are wild, man. Banksters are wilder. Either they're not gonna give you a loan at all, no matter how good of a credit story you have, or they will charge you. I mean, I'm telling you, man, the interest rates are, if you I don't think it's even possible to have a loan nowadays less than 25%, which is crazy. I mean, 25% loan is interest rate it's insanity, right? It's insane, man. Insane. So I guess agricultural loans are on the same scale. Maybe there is some programs, state programs, that support businesses in agricultural sector, and maybe for those reasons, if there is such a programs, interest rate is lower than average. But you have to to tell you more, then I have to know subject better, right? But I don't. I'm not farmer, so I never have to deal with the situation. And Rosagro Bank, ili Rosagro, there is a bank, by the way, big bank that even focused, I guess, mainly on agricultural sector, agro business bank ili cartel. There is something like that, but I don't know exact interest rate that they have. But generally speaking, interest rates are insane, 25, 30% higher. It's crazy, man. Let me scroll. Scooby is leaving now. I can see comment on Rumble. Thank you very much, Scooby, for attention. Thank you. Nidish Kumar is commenting, Levan, most of your subscribers who come on live stream are from Europe and Australia. And this is also true. This is also true, Nidish. I think right now there is on YouTube, it shows me 148 people online are watching this live stream right now at this point, and the majority probably are from either Europe or let's say global south, right? Australia, New Zealand, or India. Maybe some people are watching from China. I don't know. Can you watch YouTube from China? I mean, maybe, right? So that's why I think, time-wise, I definitely have to have a live stream in the or the news update, live stream or pre-recorded. But I have to have a update in the morning in the first half of the day, and I might try. I tried before, isn't it? I was trying 7 hours, 7 p.m., 8 p.m., 9 p.m., 10 p.m. None of them worked, actually. Just none of them worked. And it is exhausting. It is really, really exhausting, man. And I'm going to try 12 a.m. now, midnight. Maybe next week I will launch from Monday to Thursday, let's say, right? So that Friday will be a little easier. Maybe from Monday to Thursday, I will launch like live streams in the first half and the second half also. And let's see if it will work. Okay, why not? If not, then yeah. At least I can say that I tried. It did not work, so you know. Svetlana Vladimirova is commenting, I respectfully suggest, Levan, that you change the name of your channel. If anyone happens to see it, Levan Gudadze opinion tells them nothing. Maybe include the word Russia, just an idea. Yes, I think I can do it. There were such suggestions before also, and I myself was thinking to change the name because yes, Levan Gudadze opinion don't really tells much to anybody, right? This is just a name that I come up with when I started, right, this project. And um, I don't know what name should I use. Um, you know, I just need a good name, a name that will be easy to memorize, and also will have some meaning, like more meaning than Levan Gudadze opinion. Levan Gudadze opinion, it just Levan Gudadze and the opinion, right? It- so idea is good. I agree with you that I have to change name probably, but I don't know what to call it. I'm not stuck with this name, by the way. I just don't know uh, how to change it. But yeah, I will think about it. Uh, and it can be all sorts of, like news Russia, combination of news Russia, maybe some opinion, commentary, or something like. I have to think about it. Maybe I will come up with something. But good idea, though. Thank you very much, Svetlana Vladimirova. I appreciate the idea itself. It's good. Okay. Okay. Also, Svetlana Vladimirovna is commenting. No, I was simply saying that RCP probably mentor Russian Communist Party. Yeah, probably Russian Communist Party. Okay. Yeah. So thank you for explanation. I struggled to understand in the beginning what RCP means, but Russian Communist Party, yeah, аббревиатура. Наверное, так и будет. Number 6 is commenting, Levana, when I was a little boy, the oldest man in the world was a Georgian. He ate raw vegetables and yogurt for breakfast every day. Really? Georgian was the oldest man. When? How old are you? Because I am almost 50, by the way. And in my lifetime, I don't remember Georgian being the oldest man in the world. I think Japanese are number one in this regard, isn't it? Japanese people live usually, on average, significantly longer than rest of rest of us, right? But I mean, maybe Georgian was also among one of the oldest people, and I mean, raw vegetables is great, right? Vegetables are useful stuff, and yogurt. I guess you mean mazzoni, by the way. In Georgia, there is a. It's not, you can call it Georgian yogurt. In Georgian, it's called mazzoni. It's based on milk, right? It's made from a milk, right? It's like a Greek yogurt, kind of, right? Also, very nice stuff, by the way, of course. Uh, but well, only vegetables and yogurt, probably not enough. Genetics have to help also. If you have someone in your past that lived 110 years, probably you have much higher chances that you might also live this long, because usually what kills people, man, it's either heart attacks or инсульт, как на английском инсульт, or this freaking high pressure, right? When I don't know the name. I cannot remember the name, man. Дайте перевести. Stroke or stroke. That's the biggest killers, isn't it? I think heart attacks and a stroke. And if you have in your past someone that lived 110 years, that means that you will have a lesser chances of dying from a stroke or heart attack, right? So you might live longer. But yet again, I'm definitely not a freaking expert in this field, so how should I know? But yes, I mean vegetables and yogurt, good stuff, man. But we are you know nature created us as a hunters, right? Hunter gatherers, and that means we are predators, man. We are predators. Our species, we may don't like it, right? How it sounds, but we are predators. We kill other creatures and eat them, right? And our constitution is built in a way that there is certain chemical stuff that is absolutely needed and can be an organism can get only if you are eating meat. In some cases, of course, meat, animal meat, fish meat, and whatever, right? So we are predators. So we have to eat vegetables and we have to eat freaking meat too, because that's how our species evolved, right? We are predators, man. We are apex predators, most dangerous one on this planet, and maybe one of the most dangerous ones in freaking universe out there. So I already reacted on this question from Nidish. Nidish is also commenting, Levan, our government banks charge interest rates differently, depends on the sectors. Every sector has their own banking system. Both government banks are private and the private banks. I guess we have something similar too, because this Bank, by the way, that's the name, correct one, Bank. It's a bank that in its name says it's agricultural. It's oriented on agricultural sector, right? So and I'm quite sure there will be some programs, state-run programs to sponsor, to finance basically cheaper loans for agricultural sector, to basically, how should I say, to 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 encourage basically people to work on the land, right? Farmers to grow their businesses and so on and so on. So most likely, there are some programs on the matter, but I just I cannot know for sure because I never dealt with their farming business. I was never even inside this Rosilhos bank ever. By the way, I have passed next to those banks a couple of times, but so I don't know for sure. But most likely there is a special programs to make it to make loans cheaper. Special state programs to make loans cheaper for agricultural business. Sami, Samim's free is commenting. I'm not sure a name would change anything. The people you want to communicate to would probably prefer pretty color. Huh? I'm not sure name would change anything. The people you want to communicate to would probably prefer pretty color. Um, Sorry, but I struggle to understand what you mean. But yeah, name change of the name of the channel might not necessarily like work in a better or the worst way. It might influence nothing actually, or maybe it will do something good. Or I don't know. I want to change name of the channel, by the way. Project, right? Uh, I had the idea LGO network, like let's call it LGO network, right? Levon Gudadze opinion network. Network because I have different channels on different platforms. LGO network, but it does not say much. Also, LGO network Russia also does not say much, right? Something LGO network and Russia, something LGO network. Okay, link to Russia. Maybe it is easier to remember than Levon Gudadze's opinion. That's one plus, but not really catching name, nevertheless, right? Odvantu is commenting Russia's news and the views. Oh, another version, Russian news and the views. Russian news and views. Oh, I like that better. Russian news and views. Oh, I like this better. Thank you for an idea, Odvantu. I'm gonna talk to Anna, by the way. I'm gonna talk to Anna and yeah, we have to come up with some name and Russian news and views. It sounds cool, Russian news and views, and it says it straight away in the name, right? It's news from Russia and views from Russia, right? Pro-Russian. So yeah, thank you. Samim Fee is commenting. Mongolians also live longer. Yes, I guess so. I mean, uh, Japan and China, both nations. I think South Korea also, by the way, South Korea, there is more information available from there. I think these Asian nations are experiencing issues now in economical and social terms because there is a high number of elderly people, right, and not as many young people to finance basically retiring age. These all elderly people once they will retire, right? There's always has to be certain balance, and aging is an issue for these Asian nations, and well, I guess this can be true in all Mongoloid nations or mostly Mongoloid nations, and of course Mongolia is a mostly Mongoloid people, right? So I guess genetically they are more, inclined to longer life. Maybe I don't know. It always depends, isn't it, on environment where you live, uh, geography, landscape, and the rest of the stuff. Million nuances, isn't it, that are influencing how humanity, different groups of humanity evolved, isn't it, in different parts of the world. And it well might be, and I think, maybe there is some scientific explanation actually for that. That I think Mongoloid people probably are more inclined to live longer than, let's say, Negroid people or Indo-European people. Probably this is scientifically explainable stuff, because how come that almost all their Asian countries, by the way, experiencing this issue of aging. Nidish is also shares idea. Levan Gudadze, Russian perspective. Levan Gudadze, Russian perspective. I mean, I think Russian perspective without Levan Gudadze will be better. Maybe. Yeah. Thank you, Nidish, for idea. Russian perspective. Pro-Russian will be even better. Pro-Russian perspective, right? So that there will be no illusions. By the way, when you come to my channel, if you are new, when you come to my channel, you know that you're gonna hear pro-Russian take on the situation, right? Because I never played no games that I am a neutral and I am this. No, man, I'm not neutral. I am pro-Russian. Period, right? And I don't understand how any Russian citizen can be neutral. I mean, we are at war, man. This Western ruling class is dreaming about destroying us. How one can be neutral? Are you freaking crazy or what? So thank you, Nidisha. Pro-Russian perspective. Russian perspective, pro-Russian perspective. That's good stuff, man. Oh, let me. Levan, you should talk about science, engineering, space flight. And I love these topics. I love these subjects, but, you know, because in journalism, I was writing, by the way, when I start, I mean, if you have time, dear friends, I can share. It's a community chat, isn't it? So I can share some stories. New segment already being done. Hopefully, community liked it, and now we can just have a chat. And when I start my working in a journalism, that was in Georgia, right? And well, initially, before you find out which field is yours, right? And in journalism, there is many fields, right? It's politics, obviously, politics, geopolitics. It's always, if you are writing on politics, you have to write about economy also because it's linked, right? And you also have to write about military issues. So if you are not really good in understanding of any of this triad, then you might have some struggle, right? So, but before you understand and there is a cultural field, right? When you are writing about some spectacles and theater and cinema and all the shows and stuff like that, cultural stuff, right? There is a sport, by the way. There are sporting journalists, right? And there is a science also, obviously science. And in early years, when I started in journalism, I was literally writing about her. I did not care, man. I did not care. I've been paid for every single news, every single report. So I was working in every field that I can like say word. And then, when after some time, I end up in politics, military stuff, economical stuff, and that's why I have a program about basically these topics, right? Because I spend most time writing about these topics. Otherwise, I mean, I love the science, man. I just love it. It's so freaking interesting. Astrophysics, by the way, fascinating, right? Engineering, it's great, but there are better people for that, and there are great channels, by the way. There are great channels on the internet, and I'm regular viewer of those channels, you know there is a nowadays usually you don't really read the book, right? You listen to book, and mostly I listen to scientific books about it almost on daily basis. Astrophysics, right? About astronomy and the space and that kind of stuff, because it's interesting. This is also a point. Nidish Kumar is commenting that some of those titles might have been already taken by others. Yes, also true. So before first I have to talk to Anna. Obviously, I always discuss with her whenever I come up with some changes, because one brain is good, two brains are better, and more brains are even more better, right? So I have to talk to her, and let's see. And I don't have to be lazy though, also, because sometimes I'm so freaking tired, man. Not physically, but mentally, because you wake up and start reading the news, listening to the news, watching the news, and until you go sleep, it's always news, 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 and it's unfortunately more often than not news about some craziness that's happening in this world, and yeah, you're gonna get tired from it. But and sometimes, therefore, I'm just I know I have to do something, but I just cannot. So I call it laziness. Although in reality, it might not really be laziness. It's just you just are freaking tired, man. But yeah, we will talk about it, and definitely before I change the name of the channel, I will check on YouTube, through Google also, if there is any such a project with such a name, and then you know I think when you change name on the channel, this change will appear in several hours, not immediately, but in several hours, maybe next day, name will change. George A is commenting the markets and the dollar are gonna collapse on Monday. I don't know about it. Why? Tonight, US gonna launch a military operation against Iran. Maybe because of that, you think? Uh, we will see. We will see. Also, Nidish is commenting, Levan, it's food and the lifestyle that makes people live longer. Yeah, food and their lifestyle, of course, also play a big role. Of course, of course. There is many, many, many nuances, really. Yeah, also suggestions. I can see suggestions about the name of the channel, and yes, I think it's a good idea, man. I think it's a good idea. It is time, I guess. Members of our community, veterans of our community, at least, know already familiar with my name. Initially, obviously, Levan. What kind of name is that? If you are not from Soviet Union territory, former USSR, you might never heard the name Levan, right? It's a Georgian. In Georgian, it's Levan. In Armenian, it's Levon. Originated name in Greece, right? In Greek, it's Leonidas, right? That's how it is. In Europe, it's Leon, that kind of stuff, right? But it's a Greek name. I believe it's a original one is Leonidas. So, but it's still, if you are not from former Soviet Union or the Greece, by the way, you might have never heard this name. And Gudadze is definitely, if you are not from former Soviet Union, you would never understand her. Gudadze, this surname is linked to which part of this world, which country, what's going on. But now veterans of community definitely know that, yeah. I mean, Levan Gudadze is a journalist from Georgia who end up in Russia, and so it's not necessary now to have my name in the name of the channel. Absolutely not necessary. So some suggestions are interesting. Ruth Green is here, by the way. I just said veterans, isn't it? And I think Ruth Greening was hello, Ruth, and once again, hello, everybody. Ruth was literally among first subscribers to my channel. I don't even know how they find this channel. Probably I was commenting somewhere on other channel, and they just, for interest, click on my name, and that's how they find this channel from the beginning. Although at some point, you remember, dear friends, I was commenting a lot on other channels. Lot, by the way. This was and I'm grateful for the hosts of those channels and the projects and their moderators, local moderators, that didn't ban me. That was the only way I can try at least to reach wider audience and to tell them that yes, I have channel, and maybe you will check it out, and it helped a lot, man. Most of I guess majority of our community exactly find out about my channel exactly from my comments on other channels. Interesting news here. Nidish Kumar is commenting that Levan Balujis are hitting Pakistan really hard now, as Pakistan administration sold their mining rights to US. So, I mean, Balujis, by the way, I mentioned Balujis during the news segment. Balujis are living compactly in parts of Pakistan, Iran, and I believe Afghanistan also, isn't it? And there are armed groups that are fighting for independence. And yes, Pakistan is a main target. And by the way, if Balochistan will be ever created, at least third of Pakistan will be part of it. So it's not some minor group and minor development. No, it's gonna make serious regional changes, of course, right? So yeah, I did not know that there was escalation in Pakistan, but yeah, thank you for letting us know, Nidish. And also, Nidish is commenting, do you have you see capital letters, by the way, makes difference. It's easier to spot comment with capital letters when you scroll, right? Nidish is asking, Luan, do you have any AI tools that you use to make these videos? If not, try it. No, I have a AI tool assistant, Alisa, by the way, and she's activated now. Alisa, can you speak English?
Yes, I can. What would you like to talk about?
Oh, what is the temperature outside right now?
The temperature in Moscow is minus 19 Celsius right now. It feels like minus 25 градусов.
It feels like minus 25 градусов. Oh, спасибо. Спасибо, Алис.
Пожалуйста, рада помочь.
You see, it's minus 19 right now outside, and it feels like minus.
Yes, it's quite cold. Don't forget to dress warmly.
Okay. Спас-
Берегите себя.
Спасибо.
Обожаю это слово. Повторите его еще раз, пожалуйста.
Спасибо. Okay, you see, that's her assistant, by the way, Alisa. Uh, and it's quite helpful. You know, sometimes you just want to memorize something. You want to make sure that you're not gonna forget, and you can ask assistant, this AI assistant, to remind you, and it will, right? It will, and it's a useful tool. But I don't use no tools for to create these videos. I mean, how, in which way I can use it, Nidish? What I do use is this background. This is a tool on this is tool on StreamYard itself. I will try to change it right now on. You see, and there is no background no more, and that's all, right? I use this tool of chroma key of background that StreamYard has, and that's about it, really. This way better, I guess. And I don't even know how can I use AIs. I mean, you know, I'm like a dinosaur, man. I'm very bad with technologies and stuff. So therefore, it might be very easy actually, but if you know, and if you don't know, then it's like I don't know, quantum physics. So, oh, you see, Michael Kennedy is commenting. I discovered Levan on Duran. Um, well, I'm grateful to Duran, by the way, big time, of course. I was invited on Duran twice, right? And they, they they were guests on my show also, and whenever Alex Christoforou, one of the hosts of Duran show, are here in Moscow, if I'm also in Moscow, I'm asking for an interview, and he never refused, by the way. So I'm very grateful to Duran, to Alex and Alexander. They are, I will say, they are great leaders of the alternative media, by the way. Great people, and very helpful to these small channels, right? Small creators, because when they invite me, uh, I mean, why would they? It was not beneficial for them in any ways, absolutely, right? They just invite me, and of course, that was a big advertising to my channel. You see, you find out about me from Duran. I guess many other people too. So I'm truly grateful for their support, by the way. And I have said this story before too, but I can repeat that. I actually find this courage in myself, right? If I can use these words, to launch this project originally, by the way, because of the Duran, right? I'm a long time subscriber on Alex Christoforous channel, on Duran, obviously on Alexander Mercouris' channel, and I was listening to them every day. Uh, and one day I say, you know what, maybe I should try to something like that. I did not really had much hope, and when I launched initially, one of the that was very big encouragement that maybe I should try to. And also, my goal initially was to practice English because I was thinking I was working in one company and work was hard, man, right? And I was thinking, maybe if I can remember language English well enough, maybe I can go and work. I, I I lost hopes about going back to journalism, right? Because I was active journalist mainly in Georgia, right? I'm not in Georgia now. I'm older now, right? And I never really believed that there is a place for me in journalism here in Russia. So I was thinking to find a way into tourism business, right? There is a lot of tourists, by the way, in Moscow. And one of the reasons why my programs are in English is that I wanted to recover my language, my knowledge of the English, and then to find work in a tourism business. Although, of course, I was simultaneously, of course, maybe not loudly, but of course, I was hoping that maybe this project itself will become something that I will do on a regular basis as a day work. But to actually believe in this, it took more than a year, by the way. It took more than a year before I actually start truly believing that this project itself may become my regular work, right? And it did. Thanks to you, dear friends. Thank you. Thanks to your attention and support. So, um, so yes, you see, I mean, Duran did influence quite a lot, by the way, in my life, and I'm quite sure it's not just me, you know. And also, by the way, Green 44 is also saying, you see, Michael, Green is also saying that Duran had you on their channel. That's how I find you. So yes, I'm truly grateful to Duran, by the way, for inviting me. Ruth Greening is commenting, I find you when you had about 200 subs, along with the flicking bollocks, and your moderator on Rumble. Oh, John is moderator here too, Ruth, on YouTube. Bounds of Beans. He is moderator here too. And they're flicking bollocks. I mean, have you seen him, Ruth? I hope he's okay. Uh, maybe he changed the name of his page, and maybe he's here, and I just don't know that this is the freaking bollocks. But yes, freaking bollocks was one of the also first subscribers, first members of the community. So thank you, Ruth. Thank you, Ruth, for being here. And I hope my work is good enough to deserve this attention. Nidish Kumar is commenting, Levan, I heard China and Pakistan are trying to sell fighter jets to Libya. How is it possible under the UN sanctions? UN sanctions, Nidish. UN is a joke, right? Both parties in Libya, regime in Benghazi and regime in Tripoli, are receiving weapons and munition from their subsequent supporters for years now, isn't it? And what UN did about it? Nothing. So if Pakistan is, I guess China and Pakistan are supporting Tripoli. No, no, no. They support Tripoli or Benghazi. I guess Tripoli, right? Because Pakistan has good relationships with Turkey, and Turkey is in support of Tripoli, right? So maybe China and Pakistan want to sell their weapons to Tripoli. Just guess. And they will if they want to. And the Tripoli's government is internationally recognized. So if that's the side that they want to sell or give the weapons to, I guess they will find the ways. When it comes to Benghazi regime led by this Haftar, that's a whole different story. That Benghazi government is not recognized internationally, although Benghazi has enough support too from Europe, from region itself, from North Africa, from Middle East, by the way. Russia is a supporter of Benghazi too. And so, yes, if any side wants to transfer any weapons to Libya, to whichever side, they will do it. They will find the ways. And they want to sell China and India. They want to sell which planes? There is a combined production of their jet, isn't it, in Pakistan? It's a Chinese jet replacement of MiG-21, actually. I can't remember the name or designation of the plane, but I can visually see the plane that you're talking about. I think it's that. I don't think China will consider transferring any more advanced plane. But yeah, I never heard about it from you now. Thank you. And also interesting, by the way. Nandish is commenting, Levan, are you expecting large amount of countries boycotting Olympics in the US and FIFA as well? No, not really. And I don't even want to see boycotting sporting events. Really, Olympics. I mean, I can understand why people no longer watching Olympics. I myself don't watch because it's become a platform. It has become tremendously politicized and ideologized platforms. So it's not really interesting to me no more, right? When there is no, when you know upfront that on Olympics you're not going to see best athletes of this world from all the countries, then what kind of Olympics is that? What kind of championship is that? It's bad, right? So therefore, I don't think they're going to be much boycott, but I don't think they're going to be much interest too. When it comes to FIFA, World Cup going to be there, isn't it? Well, football is, of course, most popular sport in the world. I think it's most popular sport in the world, isn't it? Cricket might be like more popular. I mean, India alone is 1.5 billion people, and there's Pakistan, right? Also, millions and millions of people. And cricket is also very much a beloved game among Commonwealth countries, right? Former colonies of British Empire. And so maybe cricket actually is watched by more people than football. I don't know, man. But football obviously is a very popular game, so therefore, I don't think they're gonna be much boycott of that. Although who knows, man? If I mean, it all depends how White House will behave, how what's happening in the US. And right now it's like a bloody circus, isn't it? It's crazy stuff is happening there. So Olympics Olympics is done, man. I think Olympics is finished. Football, even though FIFA is a shameless organization, right? But football itself is very much beloved game by so many millions of people, and so they will watch football no matter where their championship is. In US, in Australia, in China, in Russia, in Germany, anywhere, man. In South Africa, people will watch it anyways because it's and Olympics used to be quite popular, isn't it? Very popular. But nowadays, when you know that not all countries are there, and because of some political politicization of the platform itself, then what is the point to watch, man? Let's say there is a swimming championship, right? And we know that Russian uh, historically has quite good swimmers. Maybe not always champions in on Olympic. Maybe not always were gaining gold medals, because there are other countries too. By the way, Australia has a great school of swimmers, and other countries. But it was interesting. At least you know that there is top players, right? Top athletes in the field that are there. And when Australian won, I mean, okay, he won, man. He deserved it. He was the best. When Russian won, yes, everyone acknowledged that Russian was best. When American or citizen of US won, yes, everyone said, I mean, that American athlete was best. But when you know that not all countries are present, what kind of Olympics is this, man? And, I mean, after what happened in Paris, by the way, how how anybody would dare to watch Olympics, man? Why? Why would you do this to yourself, man? Why would you watch Olympics? Come on. Michael Kennedy is commenting. Alex Cristoforo is excellent. Loves cats. Yeah, Cristoforo is a great leader of the community, of course. Of course, by the way. I mean, I'm a big time subscriber, supporter, watcher practically on daily basis, by the way. Before I started this live stream, I was preparing the program here, and on a notebook next to me, there was a yesterday's program of Alexander Mercouris, right? And I was listening to Alexander Mercouris' yesterday's update simultaneously. It's always something whenever I'm working on something, there is either Alexander Mercouris' update on my another notebook, or Alex Cristoforo, or other channels, Judge Napolitano, Daniel Davis. I'm quite often watching Daniel Davis's shows too, and all the others. I mean, Martianov, by the way, Andrei Martianov, and I mean, you name it. We are subscriber to same channels, right? Most of us are subscribed to very same channels, and basically, we actually are like one big community, right? Uh, New Atlas, by the way, of course, New Atlas. Brian Berletic, great leader of course, also of alternative media. I saw Ruth Greening's comment. I wanted to highlight it, and I just lost it. Oh, okay. I mean, isn't that this is great, by the way, when members of community just exchanging opinions, and my present here is absolutely not necessary, by the way. I mean, people are communicating like they are old friends, and probably they feel like old friends because we are exchanging opinions on like daily basis, literally for years now, right? So this is great, man, and that's how communities are built, I guess, isn't it? I love it, man. It's wonderful. People are connecting with each other from all over the world, man. And we are from all over the world. I mean, literally. Okay, dear friends, what you will say if I will maybe I should finalize the stream. It's already like 3 hours and 17 minutes, and I have to let me highlight this comment too. Uh, George is commenting, we don't have a free healthcare in the US. Companies can take all of your money. It's a criminal. And well, I don't know about companies, but I know banks are suspending accounts of their clients based on, out of political or ideological stance. Just recently, uh, Scott Ritter was debunked, right? One of the banks, by the way, shut down Scott Ritter's accounts, and Scott Ritter was a client of this bank for 2 decades, more than 2 decades, right? So I mean, that's how situation is, and this is crazy. Obviously, this is not normal and should never happen. What about remember when there was a protest in Canada, by the way? It was a truckers protest first, and then many people joined these protests. And one of the ways how Trudeau's criminal regime was trying to deal with the protesters is to shut down their bank accounts. Absolutely illegal move, but they did not care. And when it comes to free healthcare, yes, I mean it is. I can't understand how this is even possible. That in US, by the way, there is no healthcare system similar to one that is adopted here in Russia or in number of other, almost all European states, by the way. This is a standard, right? You have to have a free healthcare. You pay taxes, right? And therefore, they have to be state financed medical institutions that will assist you whenever necessary without additional payments because you already paying taxes, right? In US, system is working differently, and oh, I mean, I don't think it's normal, man. I don't think it's normal. There have to be state-run healthcare system, and simultaneously they should be also, of course, commercial ones. And if someone wants to use commercial healthcare system, okay, it's their choice. But if someone is not in a position financially to use commercial healthcare system, then should always have opportunity to use a state-financed healthcare system and should receive professional healthcare, professional assistance. And Russia is able to do this, by the way. I mean, there is, of course, questions, issues that needs to be addressed. Obviously, there is no system is perfect, but Just recently, by the way, like a few weeks before New Year celebrations in December, my younger daughter had some medical emergency situation. We uh, went to hospital, and everything was done on professional level, and we did not pay single penny. We stay in a hospital for there was a surgery, by the way, done. Then we stay in a hospital for a week, right? And we did not pay single penny. In US, probably our family would go bankrupt if we end up being in a hospital for a week. But here, system is works differently, and I think healthcare has to be free. And dear friends, if I may, I will end live stream now. Let me once again check just to make sure that I'm not gonna miss no uh, super chatter on Rumble. There was no super chats on Rumble, by the way, and on Boosty also nothing. And Anna did not send me no message, and so I guess that's about it. If I miss somehow question either through any of the support platforms, I will react on it during the next live stream, as I always do. By the way, thank you very much for your attention, your friends, for your support, for your timing, for your time. Have a wonderful day, and see you tomorrow. Bye.